Welcome to the Diamond Niner Gals podcast, episode 3 of the 2024 season. We have a week of softball under our belt, and we are back to talk about all of it with you. I am joined, as always, by Kevin.
What's up, Niner Nation?
Producer Brad, making it all work.
Hey.
And freshly back from Florida with several hours sleep under her belt, we have the HSC head coach, Ashley Chastain. What's up, Coach?
Good afternoon, everyone.
How you feeling?
I feel great. Other than just a little tired today, but other than that, I feel awesome. Yeah,
you guys had a long but productive weekend, and we're going to jump right into that. Let's just start with the obvious. Game 1 of the season and opening day, you guys are on the road taking on number 4 Florida State. The last time they played a softball game, they were playing in the national championship, and you guys are there on hand opening day. And well, Coach, I mean, I don't know another way to put it. You guys got the job done. You kind of came out of the gate and showed you weren't afraid to play with Florida State, and came away with a W.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really special night, and I think it was everything that was advertised, every bit of an opportunity that we expected, and we were really excited about the opportunity to get to play them the first 2 games of our season, and that's been in the works for a long time. So it's just been something that we've really been anticipating with a lot of excitement inside the program, and it was every bit as advertised. It was a really great atmosphere. There were a ton of people there. We traveled well. So, first want to give a shout out to everyone that made it down to Tallahassee. It was wonderful and such a game changer for us to have so much support. The Niner Nation was felt in the stands in Tallahassee. So that was really cool to see so much green. It was I'm sorry?
You could hear them on TV.
Yes, I got that feedback from several people. We traveled really well last year, and it seems like after the first weekend, it's going to be just as advertised, or just as the same last year as is this year. They were awesome, just a ton of support, and the game was intense. I mean, I know you guys watched it; everyone was following along. It was a really great softball game. Of course, we would go 10 innings the first game of the season. I don't know exactly how many minutes we played. It felt like we played for 6 hours, but I think it was, closer to 4. But yeah, it was really intense. It was just so great and so cool to see the team lace up against another opponent, especially an opponent like Florida State that we have so much respect for and did compete for the national championship last year. And our kids believed, even way before the game started, they believed that they could win the game. And that's what it's all about, is just that belief in ourselves and what this program is about. And they got after it from the first pitch on. And it was a fight. It was really intense from the first pitch until the last. And I was just really proud of them for the way that they pushed through and gritted it out. And a lot of calls, both ways, a lot of calls. So it was great. It was just a really special way to start the season. I thought about all the alumni, everyone that's worn the jersey, just post game, I was just reflecting on all of that and just how cool it was to start the season with really the biggest win in program history. So, this 2024 team has already put their stamp on the season. I've already written history, and I could not be more proud of them. So we got off on a really good foot in Tallahassee Thursday night.
Yeah, right out of the gate, offensively, a double and a triple from Corey Hoffler, Ella Chansey. Almost both of those balls almost left the yard.
Yeah.
Kind of go through the first inning with us and talk about the start of that game.
Yeah, I mean, it was as we kind of look back on the weekend, I think that, Corey Hoffler had an incredible weekend on both sides of the ball. And just to see her that first at bat, just to see her kind of just go for it, I think was really cool. We were really excited about the top of our order, and she just gave us so much life and so much momentum as soon as the ball came off the bat. I mean, everything exploded from there. That was really cool. I'm going through the box score here, looking at it. I mean, it was, and then, Ella right behind her to score her. It just flooded so much belief and so much energy into the dugout. And I think from that moment, when we scored, when Ella scored Corey, sorry, see, I can't even talk. I'm so tired. You could feel it. Like, you could just feel amongst the players and the staff, that was our game. And so it was just really cool to see veteran players like Ella Chansey and Corey Hoffler come through and us score so early. And I felt like, something we talked about was just really attacking the game from the start. And I don't think they could have done that any better than they did in the first inning. And, just kind of catching Florida State on their heels right away, I think was really key in our success.
Yeah, and what was great to see, and it's always different, I suppose, watching games like this from a fan perspective than you in the dugout. But I've watched plenty of games with my favorite teams over the years where something like this happened, where you guys got out to an early lead, and then Florida State, kicks in, they score 3. And there have been plenty of times when I, in my heart of hearts, looked at my team and said, well, that was fun. But that was not the vibe. That was totally not the vibe here, because when we went down 3-1, I was like, nah, we look like we're going to get back in this somehow. And then you did. Obviously you got back in it, you won the game, but I don't know. It just, there was a vibe around the game at that moment. Yeah, they did what they're so capable of doing. But it's like, no, I don't think we're not done here. We're going to bounce back. And you guys did.
Yeah, I mean, I think, for us, we didn't expect Florida State not to score. I mean, like you said, right. They're a really great program. They return a lot of players. They competed for the national championship. They're ranked 4 going into the season. And so it's not like we didn't expect it to be a fight, it to be really close. I think, our focus was just, hey, at the end of the game, we've just got to be one better, and so I think we took some punches along the way. When they scored at 3 in the bottom of the second, that definitely was a punch on their side. But I just think our girls got right back up. And that was really the cool thing to see, this team be so resilient. And I think that obviously that takes a lot of leadership. So, Sam Grass, Michaela Mitchell, Ella Chansey, Corey Hoffler, our veteran players, I mean, it takes them leading the team that way. But I think one of the reasons that we were so resilient is just all the youth that we have right behind them, and just how much passion our team has, and just how much grit and resilience they showed in those moments of, hey, we got punched, but we're getting right back up and we're ready to make another punch. So we just kind of went into it expecting that. I don't think that we expected Florida State not to score, or that they weren't going to make it a fight. We just knew that we had to be one better than them whenever the game was over. And that's essentially exactly what happened.
Yeah, like you said, lots of people contributing. 10 innings, that's a lot of softball to play. There's people contributing on the defensive side, offensively, on the base pass. So it was good to see the next wave of players stepping up from last year to this year, getting an opportunity. It's good to see that.
Yeah, that was really cool to get so many people in the game. We talked about that at the end. I mean, we just had so many key moments. Ari Rohde homered. It was really great to see her have such a big moment in such a big environment. She's somebody that, was kind of in and out of the lineup for us last year, got us some experience, and now has established herself as an everyday starter for us at first base and in the middle of our order. And so just a big moment for her. Michaela Mitchell stepped up at the end. Savannah Wynn didn't get a hit, but she had a key walk for us in the end. And then London Dirks coming in clutch at the end, and getting the hit for us to get on, who eventually scored she was going to be the winning run. She came off the bench, she didn't start the game. And so we preach being ready, and we preach, you never know when you're going to be the one that's called upon. It's your opportunity. And so we just really make sure that we have a pulse on the dugout, that everyone's engaged from the first pitch. So if anyone needs to run, pinch hit, defensive substitution, any of those things, they just never catch us by surprise. Our kids are ready at all times in the dugout, and they're paying attention to what's going on the field. So I was just really, as their coach, I was obviously proud of the win, a biggest win in program history, but also I was just so proud of everyone that entered into the game that, made a difference. London Dirks, Ari Rohde's big moment. It was just really cool all the way around. It's exactly the kind of win that you'd want to see internally.
Keeping with that theme, Coach, you used 4 pitchers during the course of the game. Talk a little bit about how that kind of evolved throughout the course of the game.
Yeah, so we knew we were going to open with Lena. We had evaluated their lineup, and we have matchup tendencies on our staff. Some of our kids fare better with ground ball hitters. Some of them fare better with fly ball hitters. Some of them are better against lefties. Some of them are better against righties, or some of them are pretty even. So we kind of had it scripted to a degree. We had a plan of knowing we were going to open with Elkins to get the season going. And man, she had a first inning, it was fire. She was, she was so good inning 1. And, came out inning 2 and I think was a little tight. And, we planned to make quick changes. So we went to Brooke Bowling, who is a lefty specialist for us, just the way that she throws. And, they had some really key lefty hitters in their lineup, and we thought it was a great time. And, Brooke, if you were watching the game, she got a couple illegal pitches called. She struck Mudge out, their best returner other than Kerr. She struck her out, and, the umpire at first base kept calling a legal pitch. We've had some pitching changes as far as what you can and can't do with your foot leaving the ground and being able to leap but not replant. And so the umpire at first thought she was replanting, which we did not agree with. And so we had to bring her right back out because I did not want that to really I didn't want that to be the difference in the game. And so we went to barefoot really early, and that was something that we didn't necessarily want to do. We wanted to go to her a little bit later. But we went to barefoot early, and she hung on for us and got us to Sam Gress. That was kind of the plan, is that Sam was throwing in the highest leverage part of the game, which is usually a little bit later in the game. So I thought the pitching staff, from Lena to Brooke to Gigi to Sam Gress, I thought they handled it like pros. I thought it worked really well. And as I've spoken about before, we want to be deep in our pitching staff. We want to, have multiple pitchers a game. We want to be able to use our entire pitching staff based on the matchups and the lineups that we see. So it was scripted to a certain degree. I do always think that the game will let the game dictates a lot once it starts. And so, there were games later in the weekend that we had scripted out a plan based on the lineup, and, we didn't need to make a change. So we always have a plan, and we kind of work from there once the game starts. But I thought the pitchers really handled game 1 really well. And they were a highlight really for us all weekend, just with how they opened games and came in relief and closed games. I thought all 7 of them did a really good job.
Yeah, and once you went to Sam, the Sassy Pony did what the Sassy Pony does. I didn't realize she had pitched 6 innings right away. Going back and looking at the box score, it's like, wow, really? She did 6 innings. I mean, she basically went complete game, under almost a complete game under normal circumstances to get all the way to the 10th inning. But she got rewarded for that effort, obviously, that and the rest of the weekend by being named the American Conference Pitcher of the Week. About an hour or 2 ago as of this recording.
Yeah, that was big news in the program today. Sam Gress, Pitcher of the Week in the American. And I just think it makes a statement. It makes a statement for what she has set out to do with her own career for this team, and then also our first year in the American Conference. And so I was really excited for her. And we talk as a program that anytime an individual gets an award, like a player of the week, pitcher of the week, essentially it is an individual accomplishment, and Sam deserved that award this week with how she pitched down at Florida State. But it is a reflection of our entire program. It's a reflection of all of her teammates, the entire program, and just the success that she had this weekend was all of our success. And so that is something that's really important to us internally. And so it's just really cool to see the girls celebrate each other like that. And as soon as anyone gets recognized as an individual, they put a ton of shout outs on social media, and it's just really cool as their coach to just see them celebrate those things together. But I, like you, Nick, looked up and Sam had thrown 6 innings, and, it was kind of blink, and all of a sudden she'd almost thrown a complete game. As far as her pitch count goes, I mean, it was a complete game. So she went the distance for us in the extras and was absolutely the difference maker in the game, to be able to hold on tight and get us the win.
Coach, yeah, I don't want to sidetrack too much, but I had a couple questions, pitching-related questions. I wanted to ask you when watching the game. You kind of touched on the rule changes a little bit with the illegal pitches and stuff, but the other question I had, I noticed in the fall the catchers were wearing the tape across the chest, or vertical or horizontal. Can you explain what the use of that is for?
Yeah, for sure. So with the addition of Katie Browder as our associate head coach in the summer, Katie brought on board motor preference. So I'll try to sum this up in our length of time here, because we probably could have a 3-hour podcast just on motor preferences. But essentially, we have profiled every single player on our team to be certain motor preferences. And so you test them and you train them in their profile, in their preference. And it's basically their natural tendencies. It's their natural way to move. And the blue and the red tape on the catcher's gear is based on what preference they are. And we have tests for them. We got certified in August. We spent 2 days here on campus, and the motor preference experts came in and trained us. So after they left, then we started testing and profiling our kids and what their preferences are. And so you'll see the catcher has a blue or horizontal, blue or red, horizontal or vertical tape on the catcher's gear, and it is based on what preference they are. And so that's why it changes depending upon who's in the circle. So Lena is blue horizontal, and so whenever she throws, you're going to see a blue horizontal tape on either Winnie or Raina's catcher's gear, and she has a very specific process that she works with that tape in her pre-pitch and as she starts her pitch, as is every other pitcher. Taylor Barlow is red vertical. She's completely different than Lena. So it's a really cool system. And it's something that has completely changed the way that we train and develop our players. And it will be something that we do every year with our new players and with our returning players as we keep them in their profile and their preferences to be their most athletic and most natural selves, if that makes sense. The blue and the red is all about what you prefer, what your eyes prefer to see. You either prefer blue or you either prefer red. And the same with vertical and horizontal. You either are very vertical as a person or very horizontal. And so that it kind of ties back to that. And like I said, we could talk about it for hours, but we'll keep it as that Cliff Notes version for you.
Yeah, well, thank you. Maybe we can talk some other time when we have more time about that.
There's a ton of content on Twitter. If you just kind of go on Twitter or Instagram and you're interested in kind of looking into it, it's a European-based system. It's evolved from the Vidalin lab in Switzerland. It's been around Europe for a really long time, and it's making its way over into baseball and softball here in the States. So check them out on Instagram or Twitter, Motor Preference Experts. That's really where you could start to just kind of dive into the information.
Sounds like we need to have Coach Browder come on here and just get us up to speed on that, Kevin.
She would be the person. We can make that happen here soon.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a plan. So we'll move forward to the rest of the weekend, although that was certainly worth talking about. I mean, like you said, biggest win in program history, which I believe you guys just one-upped yourself from last year, right? That would have been is that the road win at Virginia Tech? Am I getting that right?
Our highest ranked road win in 23 was Georgia, week 2 in Athens.
Yeah, so you guys just keep one-upping yourselves. And so you've done it again. A couple of characters, let's say, known to all of us in the form of Jimmy Touchstone and Randy Peterson, took to Twitter in the moments after that big win and issued a challenge to start raising money for the Gold Glove Club, which if you're out there watching us and you're not a member of the Gold Club yet, get signed up because it's awesome. And I think they're going to put out some data on this, but we did a little research earlier today. They raised, by issuing this challenge, they raised a little over $3,000 for the softball program in what, Kevin? About 4 or 5 hours?
It was $2,000 like within 2 hours, and then it kept growing and growing from there. So it was really intense.
Yeah,
challenge out, and everyone responded really quickly.
It was about 35 people that stepped up and made that happen. And what I'll say is, and it's one of the reasons why Kevin and I love college. One, we love college sports, but baseball and softball are so near and dear to us because of a couple of things. One, when you look at the athletes that are playing these sports, just because of scholarship situations and whatnot, you're talking about student athletes that are taking care of business in the classroom, and they're really students. They're, in most cases, they're paying something to be here. And when we start talking about, when you look at the landscape of college sports and you're talking about TV contracts in the billions and a Big Ten quarterback getting $1 million, that's not these people. That's not baseball players and softball players. They're student athletes in the traditional sense. And for a program like ours, $3,000 is like, that's a difference maker. That's an impact. Where at an SEC school, they step over $3,000 on their way to the locker room. So I get excited when stuff like this happens because I believe in what the people can do to make a difference in the program. And I just want to say that I think Jimmy and Randy did an awesome job getting that together, and we were glad to help try to promote it.
Yeah, I mean, I personally can't say thank you enough. This is the support that we feel is incredible. And, it was kind of cool for me just to feel everyone rally behind Jimmy and Randy and really step up for the program when we were even away. The staff, we are in the hotel just trying to watch film, get a plan together, scout opponents. I mean, it's like low hours of sleep. The team is trying to get prepared, and we're just going through the process on the road in the hotel. And it's like you glance at your phone every now and then. Your whole entire schedule when you leave for a road trip, it just completely changes. And to know that we had that kind of support and people rallying behind us in the background while we're preparing for these games, it's just such a cool feeling. It just is so rewarding and motivating and inspiring. And it is felt. I mean, Nick, you're so right. $3,000 is huge for us with the things that we want to do, with the things that we want to give our players, the player development systems that we have. All this stuff costs money, and it is. It's been unbelievable over the past few years to see people really give back and, support us financially and make all of this happen for us, because, without the support of Niner Nation and the community and people like you guys, Jemmy, Randy, so many people stepping up financially for us, we wouldn't have been able to do the things that we do. So I am grateful. I know our team is grateful. Our staff is just extremely grateful for the support. And, we're on the road preparing for opponents and people are raising money. It's such a cool thing. And it's really, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. And like I said, I just could not be more thankful to them for that. It was a really cool thing for us while we were on the road.
Yeah. So if and it's not too late to get in on that. Gold Glove Club membership is wide open all season long. So it's never too late to get involved and help grow the program. So Coach, let's turn the page and we'll kind of look at your next 4 games here, because this became a marathon. It's like you spend all off season, building up to opening day at Florida State, and then you beat them. And it's this big moment, but, we have to do this again tomorrow. You've got a short turnaround. You guys are in the hotel lobby, wherever you do your work, trying to get the team ready, trying to get the scout ready to go and do this again tomorrow. And then obviously, let's just state the obvious here. The game 2 was game 2 wasn't as much fun as game 1. But that kind of, that's you guys wanted a tough early season test, and you got it right away.
Yeah, you're right. We set out to win every single game. And so that's our mentality. So anytime we lose, whether it's, the second game against Florida State, which, was a big score, not in our favor, or our Sunday loss yesterday, game 2 against Texas Tech, which was a lot closer of a loss. No matter what the circumstances, we set out to win every single game. And so, a loss is a loss, and we hate losing. And so we just really work hard at managing our emotions through those times and learning from them. And we learned a lot. This team learned so much this weekend in the first 5 games. And I think the game was fast. The game got a little bit out of hand. And what I told the team, I think I spent like 2.5 minutes max speaking to the team post-game Friday night after Florida State. And it wasn't because I wasn't mad that we lost. Like I'm always not okay with losing, and our entire program is like that. But we just had to move on so fast. And I just did not want the loss on Friday night to take away from our win on Thursday night. And then just to kind of get us off track and out of our system or our process of, hey, we've got Texas Tech at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. And so, that puts us at the field at 8. We are at the field 2 hours before the first pitch every time, which puts us in scout meeting at 7. We had an early morning. And so I just didn't want the girls to just knock their confidence down when it was 12 hours, like we're at it again against another opponent. And so it was a quick speech of just, hey, let's move on. Let's learn, let's move on. And, let's get after it against Texas Tech. And I loved the way they responded on Saturday morning, really all day Saturday. But I love the response on Saturday morning. It was another tight game, not a ton of offense on either side. I think both pitching staffs pitched really well on Saturday morning. Lena Elkins went the distance for us. We were going to open with her, and the plan was, hey, like when we get here in the lineup, let's go with this matchup. We kind of had it scripted out, but like I alluded to earlier, the game just kind of dictated some things. And then she ended up staying out a lot longer than we had planned for. So, and she threw really, really well. And, lucky for us, Lexi Winters got a big hit. She got a big hit, which ended up being the difference for us in the game. And sometimes we're going to win like that. So we won and lost in many different ways this weekend, and we will continue to do that all season. And so I just loved the response of, hey, let's flush the game Friday night, we split with Florida State. Our confidence was escalating. And I think that we took that right into game one Saturday morning against Texas Tech with that win.
And then you did a great job responding in the morning, and then you had a long layover, a wait. I think you played at 5:30 or 6:30 at Saturday night against Florida A&M. Talk about that long wait between. What did you guys do to stay prepared for a night game?
We ate. If you've ever traveled with the Niner gals, we do not go hungry. I mean, the amount of food and the meals and all of the snacks. I mean, it's just shout out to our new director of softball operations, Sydney Kane. While I'm thinking about it, this was her first weekend on the road with the Niners, and she crushed it. We were taken care of all weekend. We were fed. We were happy. She just did a fantastic job taking care of us this weekend. But in all seriousness, Kevin, I mean, we got back on the bus. Our kids, spoke to their parents and everyone that was there to see us play. We got back to the hotel, and I think everyone probably took a little nap, just kind of maybe showered off, regrouped, ate a meal, and just tried to relax for a few hours. We were back in scout meeting, I think at about 3:30. The game ended up starting a little bit later than 5:30. So we were just kind of keeping tabs on where the games before us were. And so we were back in scout about 3:30 and left the hotel around 4:30 and ended up, I think, playing about 6:30 to 7, something like that. And but we just redo our process. So Florida A&M that night was a new opponent for us. And so we had a brand new scout meeting and video and just kind of a game plan for what we wanted to do going into that matchup with Florida A&M. And, I told the team, I said, this is such it's such a test for us it's a second game of the day. On paper, I think we're a more talented team than Florida A&M, but that doesn't matter. I said we've got to stay in our same system and our approach, and we've got to approach this opponent just like we did Florida State on Thursday night, Texas Tech on Saturday morning. We've got to stay in that same approach no matter who's on the other side of the dugout. And I thought that they could have easily just kind of like casually relaxed into that game, but they didn't. They really rose to the occasion, and they took care of business like they should have on Saturday night after a really long day, up early, playing late. So I just thought they were really mature. They were really mature through that process and really, handled business on Saturday, which ended up being a really great day for us.
So, Coach, we talked about last week, we talked about as you were about to head for Tallahassee that this had a very regional type feel and setup to it. And you were definitely involved. Certainly the game one against Florida State, both games against Texas Tech were really down to the wire, highly competitive games. What would you say that you learned about your team this week being in that environment?
Gosh, I think I learned a lot about our pitching staff, but I'm just trying to think of specifics. I learned a lot about our pitching staff. I think that we have worked so hard at the depth of the staff and making sure that everyone was ready to contribute in some way. And I thought that our pitching staff really stepped up. And, you prepare for things, you develop things in the off season, but you never really truly know what it is going to evolve into until you start playing other opponents. And it really matters in your win-loss column. So I think I learned a lot about our pitching staff. I thought that Elkins and Barefoot and Bowling really stepped up, and they were surrounding Gress. And I think that all of them together I think is going to be really powerful for us all season long. I have anticipated us playing really great defense, but you never know. Like, at the end of the day, you can prepare them and think that they're going to play a certain way, but when the lights come on and they go in uniform and the game starts, like, they have to do it. And I thought that we played really great defense all weekend long, and so that was kind of good to see. Is that they actually did execute that. I love how many people we got into every game. I just love getting the bench involved with runners, defensive specialists at times in the game, our bullpen coming into the game, pinch hitters. I just think about even Raina Blackwell, caught our Florida A&M game and gave Winnie a break, and she caught great, and she looked like she had done it before and didn't look like a freshman behind the plate, and then ended up coming through with a big hit, in her first hit of her career. And so just a lot of firsts, a lot of excitement. I think that this team is so resilient. I think you saw that Thursday night. And I think that you saw that with the gutsy win against Texas Tech after the tough loss, game 2 of Florida State, and then, took care of business as they should have against Florida A&M. And, I think looking back on the weekend, just being honest, I think where we faltered was yesterday's game, Sunday against Texas Tech, game 2. I think we beat ourselves in a lot of ways. That was a little bit more of an immature loss for us. We talked a little bit about that after, in post-game talk, just how we could have handled that a lot different. We want to be a really tough team to play on Sundays in series or tournaments after you've had 3-4 games under your belt and it's getaway day. And we want to be a really tough team to play on Sundays, and we want to win a lot on Sundays. And so I think just reflecting back on the weekend, that is definitely something that we need to do a better job of over these next couple tournaments that we're going to be in before we start our American play. But I think we're tough. I think we're really resilient. I think we have a ton of fun and youthfulness about the team, mixed with this perfect veteran leadership that we have from a couple of our players. So I learned a ton about the team. That was something that the staff and I talked a lot about after every game. We learned this about this person, look at this situation. It's just really cool to kind of start seeing them non-inter squads and non-practice. So I learned a lot, and I am so excited to keep moving forward. And as you guys know, this is a marathon, and it has just begun. It is such a grind. We play so many games. We don't have a midweek this week in week 1. That was very intentional on my part in scheduling. But most weeks of the season, starting next week with Clemson coming to the Sioux, we will have a really tough opponent in the middle of the week. So I'm excited for it. I'm ready for it. I know we took today off. It's a recovery day for the Niner gals, and focused on school and, treatment and just a little bit more sleep than people got on the weekends, and just starting to already prepare for the games ahead, because we've got some really good opponents coming in here this weekend.
Kevin, it doesn't happen often, but I feel like I've done something if I ask her a question that she's not just like immediately firing an answer back at me. If I make her think, then I did something.
That was a great question. It was.
she might be a little off her game due to sleep deprivation as well. So maybe.
Well, I would like to, because I know, the team really, I think, listens to this every week, and not that they don't hear me talk enough every other day of the week, but this is a little bit different setting for them. So I think they enjoy listening to us, just chat about the program. And, I would really like to give a couple shout outs, before we conclude this episode. I was really proud of Lexi Winters this weekend. I thought that she caught really well. And Florida State's super fast. They stole some bags on us, but I think long term, I think she's going to be able to throw runners out. She caught at an elite level behind the plate, and then at the plate, as a hitter. She just exploded this first weekend, and I'm just so proud of her growth, because if you look back last February of 2023, she started the season off as a freshman in the middle to bottom of our order, and really had to claw her way to get somewhere offensively. And she has worked so hard, and just to see her have such a stellar first weekend at the plate for us is full circle for me as her coach. And I know, Katie Browder, our hitting coach, was really excited about the production that we got from Lexi Winters, and just proud. Super excited about that. Corey Hoffler played elite defense. She was really good at the plate for us. And then just to see her leadership, I mean, I'm just constantly amazed by the way that she leads our team. I was really proud of Corey really all weekend. I think, Sam Gress is Sam Gress, and it's so easy to take advantage of that. But, just how Sam pitched this weekend, there's so much pressure and there's so much expectation on her this year. And we've really tried to manage that internally with her mindset, and just being able to focus on just pitching and, and herself. And she could so easily just put so much pressure and expectation that it would make her perform at a lesser level. But it was just really cool to see her go out and just be herself and do what we thought she would do, and be really elite against really elite hitters. And I've already shouted out all the bullpen. But like Liv Williams, London Dirks, Tegan Ritchie, Ari Rohde, and I know I'm forgetting some people here, but just all of our players that are either freshmen or they're coming in and they're playing more than they did last year. Like, they're taking a bigger role. I just am so proud of them. I just love the way that they played all weekend. And, we're going to keep working hard. We're going to keep learning. We're going to keep working hard, because the expectation is to knock the next door down here at the end of May into June. And, I just think that they're on a really good path.
Yeah, like I said, you can see that in the next wave coming up from last year to this year. Development. That's the big word is development, right? And since we're running out of time here, let's shift to this coming weekend with the Charlotte Invitational. We've got, I guess, 3 teams coming to town. We're hosting Boston University on Friday, Canisius on Friday as well, and then we play both schools again on Saturday. Queens is also here playing Boston and Canisius. Can you give us a quick preview of what we can expect from our opponents? What kind of our game plan going into the weekend?
Yeah, it's an interesting weekend for us, because we play 4 games. We play a doubleheader Friday, a doubleheader on Saturday. We don't play on Sunday, so we're scheduled to be off on Sunday, which is a little bit rare for it not to be a bye weekend. And then Queens kind of got into the tournament later on after it was already scheduled, because they needed some games and they're here in town. So they are coming in to play Boston and Canisius while they're here in Charlotte. But we are not playing Queens. The schedule was already made when they came in, if people are wondering about that. But if you've been following our program the past couple of years, you know that we've played Boston University a lot. Ashley Waters and her crew, they do a fantastic job. They are really competitive in the Patriot League. They win the Patriot League almost every year. They have a ton of NCAA postseason experience. And so we expect that to be a regional team. So, us against them, I think, is going to feel like 2 regional games, which I think will be really cool. Looking at their roster, the past couple of years, they've been really good in the circle, and they are returning their pitchers from last year. So they're returning all of their arms from last year. They've got 3 really good arms. We do have some experience with them. We have faced them. We've got a lot of data. We've got a lot of at-bats from our previous matchups with them. So we feel really good about it. But I think that's what it's going to come down to, is our offense executing a really good plan against their pitching on Friday and on Saturday. And playing an opponent once is hard. Playing them twice is even harder. And so, I think that since we've got 2 double headers against 2 opponents, I think it will be just preparing us for conference series. And that's kind of the whole point is to be able to play an opponent multiple times and be able to win series. That's kind of, I think, the key to staying at the top of your league is to win series. And then when you can sweep, you sweep. But yeah, I mean, Boston's a great team. It'll be a regional game for 2 straight days with them. They've come down to Charlotte the last couple years, and we're just so thankful and, excited for the opportunity to host them again here in the Queen City. And Canisius is a different opponent for us. We haven't played them, and they reached out and wanted to come down, and they were right around 100 in the RPI last year. So it's a good matchup for us to play them for 2 games, and they do really well in their conference. They're at the top of their conference. I don't want our team to overlook them because they're so focused on Boston. So we'll have to kind of get in that mindset of, respecting our opponent, no matter who we're playing. We'll talk through all of that pregame. But I think the matchup for the weekend is our 2 Boston games. Those will be really exciting as they will have regional feel to them. But yeah, I think it'll come down to our offensive execution against their returning arms that they have at Boston.
So we have the debut of the right field bleachers at the Sioux this weekend. Your first opportunity to sit in those, I guess, is 2:00 on Friday against Boston. Do we have confirmation? Is Brew at the Sioux ready to go this weekend?
Yes, Brew at the Sioux this weekend. So we love a rowdy crowd, and we're ready for it. So show up and show out, Brew at the Sioux.
Okay. The other thing I'll throw out there is that we have tailgating on Saturday. So with the Niner Gals and Niner Baseball playing both at 2:00, tailgate lot opens at 10 a.m. And there's going to be some of us out there. And if you are listening to this podcast and you're not going to be wearing a uniform on Saturday, you're invited. I mean, if you're going to be wearing a uniform, you can stop by, but you can't stay. Stop by and say hello. So if you, we're right out in front, lot 23, right out in front of the baseball stadium, sort of in between the baseball stadium and the football stadium. So if you want to tailgate on Saturday, we'll be there. Come out and say hello, and we'll be doing that all season. So there's a plug for that because. Well, it's our time of year, Kevin. This is what we do.
That's right. Tailgate and watch baseball and softball.
I could not have been more happy that the Super Bowl was over last night because it's like, okay, good, it's out of the way. Let's go. It's our time of year now. So, all right, folks, if you Niner Gals, if you're in study hall listening to this, we kept it under an hour and a half for you. So you keep studying, don't just stop now. Keep going. Hope everybody else enjoyed this. And, hey, we'll be back next week. And I have a feeling we will be talking about some more victories from the Niner Gals this time next week. So, all right, folks, that's going to do it for us. Another episode in the books. This has been the Diamond Niner Gals podcast. Look for us wherever you find podcasts, YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Somebody's asking that this week when I saw them, like, hey, how can we make sure we get updates on when podcasts come out? Go to YouTube and subscribe, or go to Spotify and subscribe. Just click the subscribe button, and then your phone will tell you when there's a new episode out. Look for Diamond Niner Report all over social media. We're primarily a Twitter platform, but we love talking to you folks. Either reach out on social, or if you're old-fashioned like we are, just say hello in person when you see us, because we will definitely be seen at the Sioux this weekend. So for Kevin, for producer Brad, and for Coach Ashley, this has been the Diamond Niner Gals podcast, and we'll see you at the Sioux.